Hi, today we are going to learn about methods for enhancement of bioavailability. In the previous lecture, we saw about bioequivalence and how to measure the bioequivalence and when to go for the bioequivalence and what are the statistical interpretations for the bioequivalence. So, in this lecture, we are talking about if your drug is not bioequivalent to the innovator product, or if your dosage form is having bioavailability issues. See, here we have two scenarios. Either you have problem with the bioavailability and whether your product is not having bioavailability, or which is your product is not bioequivalent to the innovator product. In such case, what we have to do? So, in such case, we can go for the enhancement of bioavailability. So, what are the, we'll see the list of reasons for which you can call the drug as a drug is having poor bioavailability. So, the reasons for that is, one is poor aqueous solubility or slow dissolution rate in the biological fluid. If your drug is having poor aqueous solubility and slow dissolution rate in the biological fluid, we can call that as the drug is having bioavailability issues. Then poor stability of dissolved drug at physiological pH. Your drug may soluble in some other pH, but at physiological pH, if it is having poor solubility or solubility issues, it is also called to have bioavailability problem. Then inadequate partition coefficient, thus poor permeation through the biomembrane. Not only solubility, so bioavailability means what is the rate and extent of drug which is available in the systemic circulation. To go to the systemic circulation from the site of injection or administration, your drug should partitionate between the layers which is present there and it should reach the systemic circulation. If it is having poor partition coefficient, then also it is having bioavailability issues. Then extensive pre-systemic metabolism. Before entering to the systemic thing, the drug is getting extensively metabolized in the pre-systemic. Let's say your drug is getting acid hydrolysis in stomach. In such case also you can say your drug is having poor bioavailability, or you can say it is having poor bioavailability issues. Now, so how can I overcome this? If I have this type of drugs with me, I want to increase the bioavailability. So what can I do is, or I want to increase the bioequivalence of the drug with the innovator product. What can I do that? For that we have three major approaches. So there are three approaches to increase the bioavailability. So the first approach is pharmaceutic approach. What do you mean by this pharmaceutic approach? It involves modification of formulation, manufacturing process, or the physiochemical properties of the drug without changing its chemical structure. So pharmaceutic approach, what it contains is modification of your formulation, manufacturing process, or the physiochemical properties of drug without changing the structure. We are not changing structure here. Okay. Next, pharmacokinetic. Here you need to have structural modifications. So you can increase the absorption, distribution, metabolism or excretion of the drug. That is pharmacokinetic approach by modifying its structure. Next, biological approach. What is biological approach? Where the route of administration is changed, such as changing from oral to parenteral route. So it is simple. So you just change the drug from oral to parenteral route if your drug is having bioavailability issue. Now, among these three approaches, pharmacokinetic approach is not most preferable because here it requires the structural modification of the drug. So we are not going to concentrate more on this. Next, biological approach. Again, if the preferred route of admission is oral. So you can't give all the drugs into systemic only. Okay, if the preferred route of administration is oral. So we will concentrate more on pharmaceutic approach in this lecture. So the pharmaceutic approach is being carried out to increase the bioavailability in the following manner. What are those? First one is micronization. So what happens here, if you decrease, if the drug is this much big, if you decrease if you convert that this drug particle into small drug particles, then what happens? It will increase the surface area. Due to increase in surface area, more and more of the drug particles get interacted with the your dissolution fluid, and hence they will also increase the solubility. How can I do? How can I go for the micronization? Either we can do spray drying of the drug or air attrition method, that is fluid energy mill. So by carrying out these two methods, you have studied this in if you are a B.Pharm student, you have studied this about this methods in pharmaceutical engineering. Okay, so by these methods I can change the drug particle size to 1 to 10 microns, from larger micron to smaller. Okay, so example for that is, so micronization, why the bioavailability is increased? Because if the drug is not soluble, its solubility can be increased. Obviously, if solubility can be increased, the bioavailability also increase. We saw that in the previous thing, that for which drug you can call they have bioavailability issues. So the first point there is solubility is there. So by decreasing the particle size, surface area increase. If the surface area increases, more and more drugs are going to, more and more molecules are going to interact with the dissolution medium, and there will be increase in solubility. Then example for this type of drug which is increased bioavailability through micronization is cresofulvin and several steroid and sulfa drugs. So these are the example for the drugs which are whose bioavailability been increased through micronization. Remember this GPAT question. Remember example. Next is use of surfactant. What is surfactant? A soap like, okay, surface active agents, especially soaps. Okay, we call that as a surfactant. Now what happens? This surfactant, generally what happens is, here if your drug is there, if the surface of the drug is not interacting with the dissolution medium, then what this surfactant will do is, it will come and decrease the interfacial tension between the drug particle and dissolution medium. By decreasing interfacial tension, what happens? It will come in contact, it will make the more contact of dissolution medium and drug particle. Because the drug particle is having more interfacial tension, due to incorporation of surface active agent, it will decrease the surface tension or interfacial tension between the drug particle and the dissolution medium. Due to this, what happens? There will be more interaction and the solubility will also increases. Here one catch is there. You can use that surfactant only below the CMC. See here, below their critical micellar concentration. If you go to what is critical micellar concentration, the concentration at which surfactant starts forming micelle. So what happens here is, let's say this is a surfactant, I will represent it like this. Okay, so if you keep on increasing the concentration, what happens? At CMC, I am representing tail and head. So it will form this structure, we call it as micelle. Now what happens in micelle? The drug will go and sit into the micelle. So it will go and sit into the micelle. Okay, again there will be a partition issue for us. So to avoid this, you need to use this surfactant only below CMC. Remember GPAT question, what is the concentration at which the surfactant will increase bioavailability? That is below CMC. So what are the surfactants we use? Is non-ionic surfactants like polysorbates. So we use non-ionic surfactant. Remember, not ionic surfactant, we try to use non-ionic surfactants here. So example for the drugs whose bioavailability is increased through using surfactant is steroids like spironolactone. So there is a steroid called spironolactone. Its bioavailability, it has a bioavailability issue. Its bioavailability is increased by using surfactant. Next is, that is non-ionic surfactant. Next is use of salt form. Let's say if you have a original drug whose solubility is less, if you use the salt form of the drug, we have diclofenac. Okay, I have a diclofenac drug. This diclofenac has less solubility. What I will do, I will interact this diclofenac. Okay, diclofenac is an acidic drug, weakly acidic drug. It will interact with strong base, let's say NaOH. What I will get? Diclofenac sodium. I will get a salt form of diclofenac, that is diclofenac sodium. So this salt form I will get, and this salt form of a drug is having more solubility compared to its native drug. That what is the salt form. So example for this is penicillin and strong acidic salts of basic drugs like atropine sulfate. So we have had atropine is a basic drug, and a strong acidic salt means acid which is strong, that is sulfuric acid. If you react this atropine with sulfuric acid, due to this reaction you get atropine sulfate, which is more soluble than is the parent molecule, that is atropine, and penicillin also. Okay, so these are the example for the drugs whose bioavailability can increase by salt form. By using the salt form of the drug, you can increase the bioavailability. Yeah. Next one is alteration of pH of the drug, that is microenvironment pH. What is my microenvironment pH? Let's say your drug is soluble only in particular pH, but your biological fluid it is 1.2 pH. But my drug is soluble in, let's say, pH 6 to 7. What I will do, I want to make this drug to soluble in 1.2 pH. In that case, what I will do is, if this is the drug particle, around the drug particle there is a microenvironment. I will try to modify that microenvironment according to that pH, soluble pH. This can be achieved in two ways, that is in situ salt formation or addition of buffers to the formulation. I will add buffers to the formulation. What happens? This buffer will be around the drug particle, and it will help the drug particle to be solubilized. Even though the pH is this one, due to the addition of buffer, the microenvironment pH around the drug particle will be only 6 to 7. Outside it will be this much, but inside that microenvironment we have 6 to 7 pH. This how you can make the drug to get solubilized. In situ salt formation means salt will be formed within the after injection within the body, and the microenvironment pH has been created, or I will add the buffer previously and I will try to create the microenvironment around the particle. Remember. Next is use of metastable polymer. Metastable means highly unstable. Because that polymorph is highly unstable, it wants to react with the solvent and it will want to get solubilized. By getting solubilized, it will get stabilized. So metastable polymorph is highly reactive compared to stable polymorph, and its solubility also increases. Example for this is, metastable polymorph is more soluble than stable polymorph. That's what he is saying. Okay, example for this is B form of chloramphenicol palmitate. So the B form, that is metastable form of chloramphenicol palmitate, is more water soluble. There are three polymorph of chloramphenicol palmitate, that is A, B and C. Among this A, B and C, the B form is metastable and it is having more solubility. So hence what I will do, instead of taking A and C, I will take B and I will add in my formulation. Its bioavailability is increased. Next is solute solvent complexation. We call it as solvates. If you want to know about this complexation, that is solute solvent, you can check my video regarding complexation. There you will clearly get what is that complexation which is forming there. Okay, so solute solvent complexation will occur. We call it as solvates. Solvates of the drug with organic solvents, we call it as pseudopolymorphs. Okay, generally have higher aqueous solubility than their respective hydrates. You can ask me, see what this point is speaking is, I have a drug, I will make the complex of the drug with organic solvent. organic solvent. This complex has more solubility compared to drug with H2O complex. Because it is already complex with H2O, it will not have tendency to react with H2O. Because this is not complex with H2O, it is organic solvent, then this type of complex will have more tendency to react with water compared to hydrates. That what it is going with their respect to hydrates. Much higher solubility attained by freeze drying such solute. If you want, so this one is having more solubility compared to this. If you want to increase further more solubility, what can you do is take this solvent and freeze dry it. If you freeze dry this solvent, it has much solubility compared to its native molecule. Okay. Such a solute in solution with organic solvent with which it is known to form a solvate. That's what I am saying. It we call it as solvates. Okay. Such a process results in powder of particles in submicron size. So what we are doing here is we are taking a solute, we are adding it to this organic solvent. We are creating a complex between solute and organic solvent. That is called organic solvates. Again we are freeze drying them and converting them into powder. So among all this procedure, what happens? The particle size is again reduced to micron. Already we studied by decreasing the particle size, solubility increases. Here by forming a complex with organic solute, again you are increasing the solubility. Okay, the example for this is 1:2 ratio of graciofilvin with benzene solvate. Graciofilvin benzene. Okay, one molecule graciofilvin and two molecule benzene form a solvate whose bioavailability or whose solubility is increased. Now the care should be taken that the solvate is non-toxic. Remember, whatever the solvate, organic solvate you are using, the care should be taken the solvate is non-toxic. If you don't get a solvate with a non-toxic organic solvent, then avoid this method. You have so many methods, you can go and follow those methods. Then solvent deposition. In this method, the poorly aqueous soluble drug such as nifedipine is dissolved in organic solvent like alcohol and deposited on a inert hydrophilic solid matrix such as starch or microcrystalline cellulose by evaporating the solvent. What this thing is saying is, what I will do is solvent deposition. So we are talking about solvent deposition. So I will take alcohol here in a beaker. To this I will add a drug. So the drug will be solubilized in alcohol. Again I will spray this alcohol on MCC, that is microcrystalline cellulose. So we have a one particle that is microcrystalline cellulose. Like this we have many particles of microcrystalline cellulose. I will spray this alcoholic drug solution on the microcrystalline cellulose. Now what happens? Because alcohol has a tendency to evaporate, this alcohol will deposit the drug here and it will get evaporated. Due to this, what happens? The solubility increases. We are converting the drug into the micron size. Molecular level, we are going to deposit the drug here. So, like this on the microcrystalline cellulose. Due to this, the solubility increases. That's what this solvent deposit. You are using solvent and depositing the molecule on the other molecule. Next is selective adsorption on insoluble carriers. So we will try to see what this method is saying. Selective absorption on insoluble carriers. That is highly active adsorbents such as inorganic clays like bentonite. Take a bentonite which acts as an adsorbent, can enhance the dissolution rate of poorly water soluble drugs such as graciofilvin, indomethacin and prednisone by maintaining the concentration gradient at its maximum. The two reasons suggested for the rapid release. What this point is saying, take that bentonite, it will be clay like, okay, deposit your drug, the like say graciofilvin on the bentonite. By depositing that graciofilvin on the bentonite, its bioavailability is increased. How it is increasing the bioavailability or increasing the dissolution rate? There are two reasons for which the rapid release of the drug. from the surface of clay are taken place. That is weak physical bonding between the adsorbate and adsorbent, then hydration and swelling of clay in the aqueous media. What happens here is, so this is clay, that is your bentonite. So here the drug is adsorbed, that is graciofilvin. Now the bond between graciofilvin and bentonite is very weak, adsorbent and adsorbate. Due to this, what happens when it goes to the systemic circulation, when it goes to the let's say I am taking orally in a GIT, this due to the weaker bond, this graciofilvin will come to the solution form and it will enter the systemic circulation. So for coming to the solution form, because there is a weak bond and also you have adsorbed the molecular level of your graciofilvin, it has more solubility. That is the one theory behind this. Second theory is, your bentonite starts swelling when it comes contact with water. It is swell. See here, from this stage to this stage. Due to its swelling, what happens? It is absorbing water and swelling. Due to its swelling, it is providing water for the molecule, that is graciofilvin, which is present on the surface. From internally, it is swelling and providing water internally, and externally also there is water available. Due to this, the solubility of graciofilvin increase and the absorption is also increase. That what the selective adsorption on insoluble carriers. Insoluble graciofilvin, that is your clay bentonite is insoluble in water, hence we call it as selective adsorption and insoluble carriers. It acts as a carrier. Once it gives the drug, there the plain bentonite will come out, okay, in feces. Then the next point is solid solutions. What do you mean by solid solutions? There are three means by which the particle size of a drug can be reduced to submicron level. Solid solution, again we are converting the particle size to submicron level by using solid solution method. What is that? Use of solid solution, use of eutectic mixtures and use of solid dispersion. So in all these cases, the solute is frequently poorly water soluble and act as a guest, and the solvent is highly water soluble, act as a host, okay, or a carrier. So if you want to know about this, go and check detail about solid dispersion. I have taught this in a complexation chapter. Go and check that video. So the solid solution is a binary system. It has two systems, hence we call it as binary, comprising of solid solute molecularly dispersed in solid solvent. Both are solid. Solid solvent means both are solid. Your solute is also solid and the thing which is incorporating this solute, that also solid. So both we call it as solid solvent. Since the two components crystallize together, this both crystallize together in a homogeneous one phase system, the solid solution are also called as molecular dispersion or mixed crystals. So what is happening here is, I will tell you one example, that is beta cyclodextrin. If I take beta cyclodextrin, that is in cone shape. Okay, your beta cyclodextrin is in cone shape like this. Inside this is the beta cyclodextrin. I have taught this in complexation chapter. Again I am teaching you here. So this is the beta cyclodextrin. If we have a drug which is insoluble, so benzoic acid, this benzoic acid and beta cyclodextrin, when you melt them and try to solidify them, melt them together, take the both powders. So benzoic acid is also a powder and beta cyclodextrin is also powder. Add them in a petri dish, melt them. Okay, either you can add in 1:1 ratio or 1:2 ratio, melt them together and then solidify them. While solidifying, what happens? This benzoic acid will enter into the cone shape aperture present within the beta cyclodextrin. Because this aperture is hydrophobic, your benzoic acid is also hydrophobic, it will go and sit inside that and crystallize together. Now when you add this beta cyclodextrin in water, because the outer surface of beta cyclodextrin is hydrophilic, it will get solubilized. Okay, so So this how the solubility will increase by converting them into solvents, solid solvents. Okay. Now because of the reduced particle size to molecular level, what happens here is your benzoic acid which is present together. See, benzoic acid molecules together form a large molecule here. This molecule has millions of benzoic acid molecules. This particular particle of benzoic acid has millions of benzoic acid molecules. Now when you melt them and crystallize them, they are converted into molecular level. So one molecule of benzoic acid is entering into one molecule of beta cyclodextrin. So molecular level particle size has been reduced. So solid solution shows greater aqueous solubility and faster dissolution than eutectic and solid dispersions. Okay. Then they are generally prepared by fusion. So remember, eutectic, solid dispersion and solid solution. If you take that eutectic, solid dispersion, solid solution, among these three, the solid solution particles will have more water solubility compared to these two. So generally they are prepared by fusion method. I told you, just mix them and melt them together, followed by rapid solidification. Mix them and melt them, rapid solidification. What happens? The molecules, the particles will be converted into molecular level, each individual molecule. This host molecule and guest molecule will form complex. In case here beta cyclodextrin is a host molecule and your benzoic acid is a guest molecule. This host and guest molecule will form a complex. This complex will crystallize when you rapidly cool them, and this crystal is more soluble compared to the other its parent molecules. Such system prepared by fusion are often called as melts, because we are preparing them through fusion method. By melting them, we call them as melts. Example is graciofilvin and succinic acid. Here graciofilvin act as guest molecule, succinic acid will act as host molecule. Then the graciofilvin from such solid solution dissolves 6 to 7 times faster than pure graciofilvin. If you are preparing this solid solution of your drug and succinic acid, it has, compared to the parent molecule, it has more solubility 6 to 7 times than the parent molecule. Now move on to the further topic. If the diameter of the solute molecule is less, that is 60% of its diameter of solvent molecules, or its volume is less than 20% of solvent molecule, then the solute molecule can be accommodated within the intramolecular spaces of solvent molecule. What I am saying is, let's say our solvent molecule is this much big, solute molecule is only this much big, then it will be incorporated within the molecule. Molecule is entering within the molecule. Due to this incorporation, what happens? Because this solute molecule is more water soluble, this is not having water solubility, because it is entering and entrapping within the intramolecular spaces, whole thing will get dissolved. That's how you can increase the bioavailability or solubility of a given substance. Example for this is digitoxin and PEG. Polyethylene glycol is a larger molecule, digitoxin is a smaller molecule. So your digitoxin will go and sit within the intramolecular spaces of polyethylene glycol 6000. Due to this, the solid solution is formed, which is more soluble compared to their parent molecules. Okay, when the resultant solid solution is homogeneous, transparent and brittle, what this point is saying is, take digitoxin, take PEG, add in a petri dish, heat them, melt them, then suddenly cool them. Whatever the thing you get there after cooling, if it is homogeneous, there is no two substance separation is there, transparent and brittle, in such case we call them as a glass solution, because it is showing glass property, that is transparent and brittle, we call them as a glass solution. So the carriers that forming glassy structures are, so what are the carriers which will form glassy structure? Already we saw one carrier is PEG, another is citric acid, urea, PVP, PEG, sugar, such as dextrose, sucrose and galactose. So if you use this type of system, it will form a transparent and brittle system when we call them as a glass solution. Remember, again GPAT question, what is glass solution? So glass solution is a method through which we are complexing the solute and solvent particle, and the resultant formed powder is transparent, homogeneous and brittle in nature. So what are the various things which will form this is citric acid, urea, PVP, PEG, sugars such as dextrose, sucrose and galactose. Now we will see what are the mechanism, how they are increasing the bioavailability or solubility. So there are two mechanisms suggested for enhanced bioavailability and rapid dissolution by molecular dispersion. Through molecular dispersion, how that solubility is increased. There have been two mechanisms suggested. What are those mechanisms are? When the binary system is exposed to water, the soluble carrier, I told you, the carrier will be soluble. This soluble carrier rapidly leaves the insoluble drug in a state of microcrystalline dispersion of very fine particles. So one mechanism is, so there is a host molecule, let's say this is PEG and this is graciofilvin. So PEG is formed complex with graciofilvin. Assume that the pen is so big than my hand. Okay, just assume that graciofilvin is a small molecule which is entrapped here like this. When it enters to the water, because this PEG is very soluble, it will suddenly leave the graciofilvin molecule in a microcrystal because it is only one molecule. So due to this reduce in particle size through a molecular level, this crystal will get more solubility compared to its parent molecule. That's how the solubility increases. That is of one mechanism. Second mechanism is when the solid solution, which is said to be in state of randomly arranged solute and solvent molecule in crystalline lattice exposed to dissolution fluid, the soluble carrier dissolves rapidly, leaving the insoluble drug stranded at the almost molecular level. That's what I am saying. So one method is, it will the formed complex, the host molecule dissolve rapidly and leave this molecule in a micro fine particles. One, particles means group of molecules. Two is in a molecular level only, the host molecule will rapidly soluble and leaves this molecule. So these are the two mechanisms through which your solubility is increased. One is converting them into microparticles. Two is molecular level. So only one molecule is released. Obviously it is soluble. Okay, you can see in this graph, which is having more solubility is in an increasing order. That is, your solid solution is having more solubility compared to eutectic mixtures. What is eutectic mixtures? The melting point of both the solids will decrease. Those things we call it as a eutectic mixtures. Let's say one is having more melting point, other one is having less melting point. When you form a complex, what happens? This, due to this intermolecular interactions, due to the bond formation, the formation of bond will be such a way that the intra bond within the molecule bond which is responsible for the melting will get weak. Due to this weak bond, the melting of the parent molecule will be decreased. So first, at the room temperature, both individual powders are in solid form. When you mix them after forming complex, in room temperature itself they will form liquid, means what, they are solubilized. So that what is eutectic mixtures. Then micronized drug converting into small particle, then coarse drug. So this is the order of solubility. Remember this order of solubility. Next is eutectic mixtures. I just told you eutectic mixture. Let's say we have solid here, one solid. Okay. So another solid is here. Let's say I will take like this, ratio of pure molecule A and molecule B is here on x axis, on y axis we have temperature. So x axis, at the left side I have pure A molecule, that is drug A, and on right hand I have pure drug B. They have their own melting points here. See here, TA and TB is their melting point. Let's assume this has 30 degrees, let's assume this has 50 degrees. So pure A has 50 degrees melting point, pure B has 30 degrees melting point. Now when you take them into some mixture A plus B at some ratio, what happens? See, their both melting point is decreased here to this level. This side also, this side also. So assume this has 20 degrees. Okay. So by the mixture of, if the drugs are in pure form, their melting point is like this 50 and 30. When you mix them in particular ratio, what happens? Due to their interactions, the bond will become weaker and the melting point, ultimately the melting point will be decreased. See here, it is decreased to 20. Now it is soluble, now it is in liquid form in room temperature itself. So the liquid form of the drug means it is in molecular form. When you add this to solvent like water, what happens? Because already they are in molecular form, they will solubilize more readily compared to the solid forms. Okay, so you can use this eutectic mixture formation for increasing the solubility. Okay, so what are the example for this is eutectic mixtures, paracetamol and urea. So paracetamol has its own melting point, urea has its own melting point. When you mix them, ultimately both complex will form. The formed complex of paracetamol and urea has a lower melting point compared to the parent molecules. Due to this, the solubility is increased. Then griseofulvin and urea. Then we have griseofulvin and succinic acid. These are the example for eutectic mixtures, drug eutectic mixtures, wherein you can increase the solubility of the drug. Okay, remember these examples. Then we have solid solutions of eutectic mixture, which are basically melts, are easily to prepare and economic with no solvent involved. Yes, they are very easy to prepare, nothing, just you have to mix them. Mix both, that's all. The method, however, cannot be applied to. So there is a limitation for this eutectic mixture method. What is that limitation is? Drugs which fail to crystallize form the mixed melt. Okay, drugs which fail to crystallize will form a mixed melt. Then thermoliable drugs, we can't use this. Then carriers such as succinic acid that decomposes their melting point, at their melting point. What happens? This succinic acid, if you use a carrier like succinic acid, it will decompose at the melting point. Now what we have to do is, instead of succinic acid, use urea. So eutectic product is soft, tacky and intractable irregular crystals. You don't want this to form. If we use succinic acid has a carrier for eutectic mixture, it has some problem. In such case, replace the succinic acid with urea. Next we have solid dispersions. So regarding this solid dispersion, the best example is beta cyclodextrin. Okay, that you can check in the complexation chapter. I will give the link in the above and iCard. So solid dispersion, they are prepared by solvent or co-precipitation method. Okay, where happens? So this solid dispersion means what? One solid is there, host molecule, another solid is there, guest molecule. Probably the guest molecule will be your drug and the host molecule is the polymer. Okay, when you mix them, what happens? There will be a dispersion occur, that is we call it as solid dispersion. So your host molecule, that is drug, is dispersed in the dispersion medium of your guest molecule. That hence we call that as solid dispersion. What happens here, whereby both guest and host molecule, that the guest molecule act as a carrier and host molecule will be incorporated into that carrier. Thus liquid solvent is removed by evaporating under reduced pressure. What this point is saying is, take your host molecule plus your guest molecule, add into a solvent in which both are soluble. Now both are soluble, again evaporate the liquid solvent by reducing the pressure or freeze drying method. If you evaporate them, what happens? That guest molecule will go and sit within the host molecule and form a solid dispersion. Okay, what happens? This results in amorphous precipitation of guest in crystalline carrier. So your guest is your drug which will be amorphously getting entrapped into the crystalline structure of guest molecules. Thus the basic difference between solid dispersion and solid solution is that drug is precipitated out in amorphous form in a former. In solid dispersion, drug is precipitated as a amorphous form. In solutions and eutectics, the drug is precipitated in crystalline form. That is the main difference. Remember, in solid dispersion, GPAT question, in which form the drug is being precipitated, that is in amorphous form. Solid dispersion, amorphous form precipitation. Your eutectic and solvent dispersion, it will be crystalline form precipitation will occur. Such dispersions are often called as co-evaporates or co-precipitates. Together they are evaporating or precipitating, hence we call it as co-evaporates or co-precipitates. The method is suitable for thermoliable drugs. So here you are not using any heat here. So what is happening here? If the GPAT question comes like what is that method by which you can increase the bioavailability of a thermoliable drugs? In such case, you should write that is solid dispersion method, or you can say co-precipitation or co-evaporation method is the method through which you can increase the solubility or bioavailability of your drug, okay, whose solubility is less and the drug is thermoliable. Then we have the method is suitable for thermoliable substance, but there are number of disadvantages like higher cost of processing. Here the cost of processing is more because you are using freeze drying, again it will increase the cost. Used in large quantity of solvent, then difficulty to complete removal of solvent. So in freeze drying also you can't remove the solvent completely. So these are the disadvantages of this method. The carriers used are same for eutectic and solid solutions. So same carriers can be used here, only the method of preparation will be different. With glassy materials, I already told you what are the glassy materials. Okay, the dispersion formed is called glass dispersion or glass suspension. Remember, what is glass suspension? Again GPAT question. Glass suspension is a solid dispersion of glassy material with host molecule. Okay, it is a solid dispersion. Remember, what is glass suspension? They will ask, and in the objectives they will give like eutectic mixtures, solvates, solid dispersion, etc., etc. So you need to select the option that is solid dispersion. Yeah, you can see here dissolution in this graph. What we can see is dissolution rate enhancement of graciofilament by solid dispersion method. So what is happening here is on x axis we have time and y axis we have concentration of graciofilament which is in dissolution medium. Now if you micronize this is the concentration, only this much concentration you are achieved. If you use this graciofilament with PVP, forming solid dispersion, glass materials, okay, or we can say glass suspension or glass dispersion, if the ratio is 1:5, this is the concentration or solubility. The ratio is 1:10, this is the concentration, 1:20, this is the concentration. So what we are observing here is, as the ratio of PVP increases, the solubility of graciofilament also increases in a dissolution medium. Finally we have molecular encapsulation with cyclodextrin. So what happens here is, one molecule is being encapsulated in another molecule. See here, this is the drug molecule, this is the cyclodextrin, in which one molecule is entrapped in other molecule. Okay, so what happens here is, because your cyclodextrin has two things, one is the cavity which is hydrophobic, and the outer surface of cyclodextrin is, see here, outer surface is hydrophilic and the inner cavity is hydrophobic. Because inner cavity is hydrophobic, your drug which is hydrophobic will go and sit within the cavity. Now when you put this in a solvent, what happens, because the outer part of your cyclodextrin is hydrophilic, that it will dissolve your drug more readily. This is how you can increase the bioavailability or rate of dissolution by molecular encapsulation with cyclodextrin. Several examples are there. What are the examples we have? That is thiazides, thiazide diuretics, barbiturates, benzodiazepines, and number of NSAIDs. So these are the example of the drugs. Take one NSAID, if it is not soluble, take cyclodextrin and form a complex between cyclodextrin and NSAID. This NSAID will go and sit within the molecule of cyclodextrin. So one molecule of NSAID will sit in the one molecule of cyclodextrin and it increases its solubility. So this completes your method of increasing solubility. I hope you understand.